everyone, welcome back to another vlog. For the next week or a few days, I'm going to be just diving into books, into my TBR. So we are getting close to the end of the year. My goal for books read this year is 42 and I'm in the high 30s. So I'm getting to a point where it's starting to get a little bit close, a little hairy. I hope you enjoy and let's just get straight into it.
You want some cookies? You can't have any, I'm sorry, they're not good for you.
A lot of people have moved on to Christmas, but it is still fall, for me at least. And I am going to embrace all the pumpkin vibes until after Thanksgiving. I am reading Stephen King's Salem's Lot. This is a horror book, if you can't tell by the cover. Floppiness, it's so satisfying. It immediately drew me to the book, but I've also been trying to get into Stephen King. And this is a story of a New England town. And something is wrong with this town, clearly. And I thought it was zombies or like just undead, but it seems that it is vampires. And something is happening in this town and people are turning into vampires. And I've heard that this is really scary. I know that there's a movie, I think an old movie and a new movie for Salem's Lot. And I don't know if I'm ever going to bring myself to watch it. I prefer reading books, not watching the scary movies as much. I'm about like 50 pages in. Nothing crazy has happened. We're kind of just meeting people. The glasses have made an appearance because I took my contacts out. Happy Tuesday. So it is like 7 o'clock. I just made myself a little taco salad with some leftovers and one of my favorite drinks, creamer with soda, diet soda, because I'm trying to be healthy. And let me just tell you, this stuff is amazing. I love it. But if there's one thing about me, it is that I cannot read while I'm eating a meal. So I'm going to put something cozy on TV, enjoy my dinner, and then I'm going to jump into Salem's Lot and just have a really cozy night. And then I'm also going to update my book journals and my life journal because I have not done that in a while and it needs to be done. It is like the middle of November.
I'm so excited tonight to be updating my reading progress for the year. Tonight I'm using the Clever Fox reading journal. Thank you, Clever Fox, for sending me this planner to share with all of you guys. Upon opening it up, there is a How It Works pamphlet in the planner that shows you all of the different layouts and ways that you can track your progress. This is a really simple but also detailed and thorough planner, which I really enjoy. I've actually been in the market for a decent reading planner that I could use to track my reading progress, but not something overly complicated. And this planner is it. It has a reading log section where you can track your month's reads, a daily reading tracker, which I think would be really cool to look back on like every day of every month. It also has a TBR section, so you can list all the books that you want to read in the future. There's also a section to just list all the books that you have read, the dates that you've read them and finished them, and then my favorite part, which is the book review section, so you can detail your thoughts, your feelings, and your ratings on every book you have read. Another unique feature about this planner is it has a lot of space to write extra thoughts and notes, which you could use for favorite quotes or just like a more detailed review, and I really appreciate that because I don't like to just fit everything in 2 spaces. There's also some cute bookish stickers in the back flap. Tonight I'm going to be updating this planner and putting in the book that I read most recently. Thank you again to Clever Fox for sending me this reading journal, and if you guys are interested, you can check them out at their website, which I will put in my description box.
I wanted to show you what's physically on my TBR cart. I did end up kind of revamping this cart. My older videos, I had a bunch of spring Regency era books that were kind of collecting dust, and I wanted it to be a functional TBR cart again. That would include The 13th Child, and Stephen King's November 22nd, 1963. This one is about JFK assassination, and I believe it's involving time travel, so super cool. Definitely a thick one, though. And then I believe this one is a Salem or like witch trial kind of story, so think like The Crucible. This one's called Speaks the Nightbird. This book by Peter Frankopan, which is called The Silk Roads, and it is a nonfiction book, so it's a little bit thicker and heavier to go through, but I am like going through it slowly. And then I have the spell book of Katrina Van Tassel, and this one is a Sleepy Hollow like inspired novel. And then I have two books I got from an antique shop last year. One of them is about like Jane Austen and Charles Dickens, just like kind of life during the time period that they were alive. And then I have a Last Dinner on the Titanic. This is something that I just think it's really fun to flip through. It's all of the meals that the three different classes of people had on the Titanic. Shifting downward, I have something I just picked up today actually, and this is called Don't Let the Forest In. One of my favorite booktubers, Alexandra Roseland, actually said that this book was amazing. Like I think she said that she could literally not put it down, and it's got sprayed edges. I got it from Barnes & Noble. It is just a beautiful book. This is a book that I have on my TBR because it was one of my favorites as a middle schooler, and I'm trying to get into more of my middle grades because I love them so much. So this is called Chasing Vermeer. I love the art style. It's very reminiscent of Series of Unfortunate Events. I believe this is the same illustrator for that series. And then, of course, I have the big, thick Jade City by Fonda Lee. I've just heard so many good things about this, so naturally it is on my TBR. This looks like such a juicy fantasy read. And then the last book that I have on my TBR is The Count of Monte Cristo. This is a classic. I've heard really good things about it. Also very rich, very juicy. I believe it's a revenge story. It just looks so satisfying to read. I would like to read a classic and like actually be able to finish it. So, I mean, I can finish classics. It's just they're a little bit thicker and more dense to get through. So I'm very excited to read this one. Listen, it's just one of those days, okay? This is totally not my second soda of the day. It's diet, though. It's diet. It's a Wednesday afternoon in November. I am just ready for some nice reading and disassociating. And I've got my cream soda. I've got my Stephen King book, What Better Way to Spend an Afternoon. I usually work out right after work just because the sun's out and it's nice outside, and you know, I'm kind of already in that like discipline mode because of work, so I just go right into exercise. But today is not one of those days. Today is a day where I am just going to drink my soda and read my book. An update for Salem's Lot. I am now on page 184. I basically read last night until my eyes were shutting. Things are starting to pick up in this book. So before, when I updated you, I was saying how every person that's mentioned, we got a little bit of a backstory on them. I just realized you're kind of crooked. Hold on. Sorry. I don't know what is wrong with my tripod today. Okay. Two boys go out into like the woods, out into the town. One of them comes back, suffers some sort of emotional trauma, and the other one's just missing and gone. And there is an investigation. The main character, Ben Mears, he is an author who has returned to this town writing a book. We don't know too much about his book. He's met someone named Susan, and he's interested in Marston House, which is the name of the house, the subject in the story. And this house kind of has a traumatic and haunting history. The couple that lived there, basically the husband was kind of crazy, and don't want to spoil it too much, but there's trauma. The trauma happened in the house. The house is like haunted now, and some weird character who appears to be like he's from a different time has bought the house, moved in, has some really strange requests about the way he wants his things handled and moved into the house. Like, he wants padlocks on all the doors, just weird stuff. And so, like, the guys that are bringing their stuff in are like, there's something odd about the stuff that he's bringing in, like just custom stuff. Like, some of it looks weird. And the character himself's a really strange guy, but he ends up coming in. So that's where we're at with the house. But one of the kids has gone missing, and there's something strange also that's happening in the house, like weird noises. They see lights on in the windows. Just, it's a very spooky scene, and I'm so ready to see what's going to happen next. But yeah, I think we're getting set up now. So this is what feels like kind of the beginning of scary stuff happening. So that's where I'm at, and I'm going to read until it gets too dark in here to read. Got my iPad. Gonna put my little ambiance on. Don't mind my... It's so creepy looking. I just realized that you can see them. Those are my American Girl dolls. I started collecting them when I was young. And I've just, you know... Once you're an American Girl doll millennial, you're always an American Girl doll millennial. So I'm sorry if that creeps you out a little bit. Well, it is like 11:30 at night, and alas, the night has come to an end. I am this much through. This is my progress on Salem's Lot, and it is page 278. So at this point, there has now been some happenings. Vampires are definitely roaming in Salem's Lot. The case about the missing children, one of them has not been found, and the other one has collapsed in the hospital. And they had a funeral, and then after the funeral, some crazy stuff started happening. And now there are a few people in the town that have experienced some of this weird stuff. And yeah, it's getting spooky now. I'm really feeling like we're getting into the nitty gritty of it. So I'm looking forward to see what Stephen King has in store for me on this one. This is my first full reading of a Stephen King book, so I'm not super familiar with his style, but I will say he's really talented at elaborate descriptions of people, and like a lot of the characters, like, he is really explaining their backstory, their tendencies, their behaviors. So I'm getting a lot of that kind of narrative, but I kind of want more dialogue than I'm getting. So hopefully there will be a little bit more action and less like delving into people's lives and stuff. Because while that's cool, I'm ready for the action. I do want to finish this by the weekend at least. I will see you tomorrow. Good evening. It is Thursday night. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm really tired, but I wanted to make a little update, and I have some fun book mail, so I thought I'd show you. It is Chivalry by Neil Gaiman. It's a graphic like short story, illustrated short story, and it is about a older woman who finds, I guess, like the Holy Grail, and it sets her off into like an adventure with like the knights and stuff. At least that's what I've gathered, but I mean the illustrations are just beautiful, and I think the cover is just absolutely stunning. So I picked this up and I'm really excited to read it. But other than that, I am more than halfway through Salem's Lot. I'll chat with you when I have read some more. Hello, it is Friday evening. We just got back from the cozy little coffee shop. I had the most delicious matcha peppermint latte. It was so good. It had like peppermint cream and little candy cane shavings on the top. It was such a nice little treat on a Friday night. I did end up reading about 50 pages more of Salem's Lot. Something is very wrong with the people in this town, or at least some of the people in the town. About 4 or 5 of them have caught this mystery illness, and the ones that have ended up in the morgue have actually gone missing. And so a lot of people are like, they're clearly vampires, and then a lot of other people don't understand what's going on. But like, you can't, in this town, they kind of feel like they can't say it's just straight up vampires, otherwise people will think they're crazy. The very obvious giveaway is that people who have died they don't look like they have died. They actually look like they're just resting, and they look beautiful, like abnormally healthy. So yeah, definitely vampires roaming around, but not in the sense of like Twilight or like Vampire Diaries kind of vampires. Like these are like kind of terrifying. Like they give me kind of like zombie vibes, honestly. About 130 pages away from finishing the novel. Plans for tonight are to probably finish Salem's Lot tonight. I was supposed to go to the library today, but of course I did not check the hours well enough, and they closed at 3, and so I couldn't make it. But tomorrow morning I'm gonna go. By then I hope to have the book finished. Had a really yummy Italian dinner, and I'm probably gonna get on my Peloton, do a little bit of cardio, but also read Salem's Lot. So I will check in with you soon. Good morning. It is Saturday morning, and I finished Salem's Lot, and it was such a good book, such a good ending. I will say I wasn't as scared as I thought I would be, but not to spoil it too much. But basically everyone they knew turned into vampires, and it came down to a few characters where they had to go against like the final boss, kind of like I have my windows open. Kind of like the master of all the vampires. They get to him during like his weakest points during the daylight, and They come up with a plan. Really good book. I did enjoy it. I know the movie, I think the new movie's like coming out soon, which is kind of funny. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it because the movie's definitely scarier looking than the book. I'm going to go get dressed and we're gonna head to our town's local library. I'm so excited. Since moving here, I haven't been to our local library yet, and I'm just so excited to let myself just peruse and kind of go crazy. So I will see you at the library. Back from the library. I will say there are a lot of books that were at the library that I've had on my TBR and I've wanted to buy, but I've been holding myself back from buying a lot of books because, as I said, I'm trying to be more sustainable and also just buy books that I would probably want to reread or just collect. The first book is by Kate Quinn and it's The Briar Club. It is a haunting and powerful story of female friendship and secrets in a DC boarding house during the McCarthy era. So that sounds really interesting. Then, of course, I went into the middle grade section and I got It Found Us by Lindsay Curry. She writes like scary horror stories for middle grades. I think I read Scritch Scratch by her last year, but this just looks like a good old-fashioned ghost story. And then this one's another one I saw at the bookstore last week, and it's called The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder by C.L. Miller. This looks really interesting. I'm a huge fan of cozy mysteries and also antiques, so this was a perfect blend, so I picked this up. And then this one is something I've never seen before by Rebecca Stott. It's called Ghost Walk, and I think it's like a mix of like historical fiction. I saw alchemy in here. Ghosts, Cambridge, past and present, 17th century glassmaking, the Great Plague, Isaac Newton, all of those things together. I really enjoy reading books like this that are a mix of like intellectual topics but also fiction. So this looks really atmospheric and cozy. Got Lucy Undying. This is literally a brand new edition. If you know anything about Dracula, Lucy was Dracula's first victim. She unfortunately does not survive, and I think this is like her story if she were to survive and like what she ends up doing with her life. I picked up a manga. I'm not really a big manga reader, but I want to be. It's just, it seems like it's an expensive book series to start buying, so I think I might do like Kindle or the library or like used books for manga. So I saw this one, and one of my favorite booktubers likes this series a lot, Yona of the Dawn, and this is the first one, and I actually had a lot of luck getting this because I feel like even at the library it's really hard to find the first edition of manga series, so I just never get the chance to start them. But I'm gonna try this out and see what I think of it. Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed, and I've heard a lot of chatter about this one on Book Talk and BookTube. It says here, it's a reimagining of Lady Macbeth, Shakespeare's most famous villainess, giving her a voice, a past, and a power that transforms the story men have written for her. So this is kind of like a different take on Macbeth, if you know the play. So I'm interested to read this, and I feel like the time period that it's set in is probably something I'll really enjoy. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's very long at all, like almost 200-300 pages or so. So excited to read that. My bag is empty. I definitely could have done worse, but I think this is really not that bad. It definitely could have been worse. But here is my little library haul. I'm not going to start reading them in this vlog because I feel like this vlog might already be kind of long. So I'm going to start my next reading vlog with these, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching and accompanying me while reading Salem's Lot this week and doing my planning and journaling. Thank you again for being here and for following along, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Bye!